Hey guys, it's Jessica with Southern Sparrow. We're going to talk today about really the number one way that I think all of us could stand to improve our strategy in Mahjong, especially as we're looking at a brand new card, right? So the number one thing that I hear from people when they're trying to improve their game is they want to get better at choosing the right hand. There's a lot of options on these cards of different hands, and then when you start to read the parentheses, different ways you can play each hand, and so it does often feel a little overwhelming. So I'm going to talk to you today about how we can get better and faster and more confident about choosing a hand on the National Mahjong League card. So this is something that you can do. I have a table set up, but that's just because I always have a table set up in my house. You can do this without setting up your table. You don't need to get out your racks. All you need is your bag of tiles, okay? You're gonna grab your bag of tiles, you're gonna leave them all in the bag. You're going to just reach into your bag and pull out 13 tiles. You're dealing yourself a hand of tiles. I've already done that just because I figured you guys don't wanna watch me draw out 13 tiles. And then organize them. So I just grabbed 13 random tiles from my bag. You guys can do this tonight sitting in front of the TV. You can do this over at baseball practice. You can kind of do this anywhere. You're just gonna pull out 13 tiles. It helps to have a rack, but if you wanna just lay them on the table in front of you, lay them on your lap, whatever. So I have just pulled them out. I've organized them by suit and in number order. And if they're non-suited tiles, I kind of squish those all together in the order that we tend to read them on the card. This just helps me to kind of visualize, what do I even have here? Is there anything that's popping out to me? So your first step when you get dealt tiles is going to be get organized, put them in order by suit, put them in order by number, and then put all your flowers together, put all your winds together. I like to put my matching dragons with the suit. So if I had a red dragon, I would put it here next to the cracks. If I had a soap, a white dragon that goes with the dots, I would put it next to the dots, etc. Just get yourself organized. And then as soon as you're organized, the first thing you're doing when you're trying to find a hand on this National Mahjong League card is pick a section. So you're gonna start to look for patterns. So I'm noticing with what I have here is I have a lot of winds. I have, 5 tiles that are wind tiles. That's a pretty good little start on looking in this winds and dragons section, especially because I find a lot of new players especially will avoid that winds and dragons section because it feels scary for some reason. It feels like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to get all of those norths. But keep in mind, there is just as much a chance of you getting all 4 norths as there is of you getting all 4 two-bams, right? There's the same number of tiles in the set. So don't be afraid of that wind section. So I do see that as a pattern popping out of what I've got here. I have 5 winds tiles. I also have kind of a lot of pairs here that are all odd numbers. And then I kind of have these 2 random cracks. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to either organize myself for odds, which would be this 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 section, or I'm gonna organize myself for wins. And because I'm kind of evenly matched here, it's really up to me. You know what? I really like the wins here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to act as if I'm going to Charleston. So I'm gonna say wins and dragons, that's gonna be my section. And I'm gonna hang on to those. Now, there are some hands in Winds and Dragons that want some numbers, right? We've got some hands that are like number hands, and we've got this 2025 hand, but this year's card, the 2025 card, really doesn't have the same number of options for numbers with your wins as last year. So we had a lot of, counting up or counting down hands in the 2024 card. Those are missing from 2025. So I'm gonna definitely hold my wins if I've decided that that's my section. And then maybe I'll hang on to these 2 pairs and I'll say that I'll be ready to get rid of those. So all you're going to do is you're gonna Charleston with yourself. I'm getting rid of 3 tiles. I'm just gonna set them aside and I'm going to reach back into my bag. Again, you kind of treat it like a Scrabble bag, right? You just reach in and you grab blindly for some tiles when you're playing Scrabble. Same thing here. Grab 3 out, let's see what we've got. So we have a 5 crack. We have a south wind. We knew we wanted to go for winds. Oops, I might not be able to see what I got going here. We have a south wind, so I'm gonna pop that in with my winds. And then we have a 9 bam. So I'm going to maybe say, oh, let's start to kind of hang on to those 9s because I know the numbered hands in this Winds and Dragons section for 2025 are like numbers. So I like that I have 3 9s already along with these winds that I have. So I may say, maybe these are the things I'm willing to get rid of. Next step, we're just gonna Charleston again. So remember, there are 6 passes of the Charleston when you're having a game. You can pass with yourself 6 times and see as each pass goes on, you're going to refine that hand. So we're staying in Winds and Dragons. We're passing 3 more tiles. I'm gonna reach into my bag here. I'm gonna grab 3 more tiles. Let's see what we got. All right, we have a 3 crack. I'll put that here. We have a 1 dot. I'll put that here. And we have a joker. Now, when you're playing in a real game of Mahjong, no one's gonna pass you a joker. So I'm going to set that aside and I'm gonna reach back into my tile bag here and I'm gonna pull out 1 more tile, and this time I got a 7 crack. So again, I'm still kind of liking what I had before. There's gonna be lots of times in the Charleston in a real game where you don't really get any tiles that you want. Just gonna grab 3, put them back. So that's our 3rd pass here if we're doing a Charleston. This would be the option for people to stop. But I'm still not feeling like I know exactly what hand I'm going for. So I am gonna draw another 3 tiles out of this bag. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3 here. Let's see what we have. So we have a 4 crack, we have a 1 crack, and we have a south wind. All right. I mean, I kind of have a good little section of winds going here. I'm kind of feeling like maybe I can start to hone in on exactly what hand I might be playing. Maybe I'm playing this top line here where you have 4 norths. I already have 2 of those. You would then need 3 easts. I've got 1. You would need 3 wests. I have 2. And you would need 4 souths, of which I have 2. Keep in mind, you can also play this the opposite way where you would want 3 norths and souths and 4 easts and wests. Either one is totally fine. I like that hand for myself. I have 7 tiles towards that hand. I would probably lock in, if this were a real game, of that being my hand, with maybe looking at these backup hands. I would be looking at the north and south with the 9s. I don't have a ton of those 9s, so I wouldn't want to make that my primary hand. But if I start to get a lot of 9s in the rest of this Charleston, or I start to get a lot of 9s in the drawing as the game starts, that 9 hand might pop out for me as a better alternative. So really, this is the process. This is how you get fast at it. Then you've done that one. Okay, I feel comfy there. I'm just gonna throw them all back in and we're gonna start again. We're just going to keep doing this. This is a great way to learn the card. This is a great way to get fast at the thing that most people feel slow at, right? You can even zip up your bag and do a little bit of this number, a little bit of this number. Really get them nice and mixed up in there so that then when you reach back in to draw out some more, so I'm gonna draw 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm getting a lot of those winds again. Maybe I'm gonna reach down into the bottom of my bag. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Aren't you glad you didn't watch me do this twice? So here we have another set of tiles and we can just start to get organized here. And we're just gonna start to look for what patterns are jumping out at us. What things do we see in the tiles that we've drawn in our fake dealing that make sense for a section? So what do we see here? Again, I'm seeing some odd numbers. I've got 3, 7, 9 here with that matching dragon. I have 5 and 9 in the dots. I have a green dragon. I still have a good little section of winds. This is the kind of hand that when you look at it, you're like, gosh, I don't really feel like there's anything that I'm like, yeah, for sure. There's lots of evens. I'm gonna go for a 2, 4, 6, 8 hand. Or, oh yeah, for sure. This is so obvious. I have, a bunch of consecutive numbers and they're all in, I have a couple of each number, whatever. This is the kind of hand that doesn't feel as clear. So when you get dealt a hand like this, I would say, go with what seems the most fun to you. If you haven't played a Winds and Dragons hand in a while, maybe lean towards those winds. Start to look in that first Charleston pass too. If you're starting to see people passing winds, then you can be more confident that no one's going for that section and that feels like a safer bet for you. Or maybe you're gonna say, you know what? I like that I have odds. I'm gonna hang on to my odd numbers. I'm gonna hang on to my dragons. There's a couple hands down in this 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 section that have dragons. And there's also even a news hand. So we've got part of our news. We have 3 of our 4 tiles needed for news. So maybe I'm gonna go for the odd section, that 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 section. And we're gonna pass all of this and gosh, I don't know, we'll have to pick one more thing. Maybe we'll pass the 3 since we've got 9s and 7s. So we'll pass those, we'll reach into our bag, we'll grab 3 new tiles. So we have our south, we have a 9 bam, we have a 4 dot. So we will maybe look at these 9s. We're looking at this news. I think we're kind of establishing we're gonna hang in odds. So we only need 1 iteration of each of the wins, right, to spell out our news. We won't need this 4 because it's an even number. Now we have a 9 in each suit. We have these corresponding dragons. We have a 5 and a 7. It's still not jumping out as a perfect hand, but I do kind of like this 5-7 news, 7-9 hand for us because we have the news, we have a 5, we have a 7 and a 9. So if we were doing that, maybe I would pass one of my dragons on this next pass, and we would then grab 3 new tiles again. So, oh, of course, the dragon I pass is the one that I get again in the Charleston. How many times does that happen to all of us? Frankly, an 8 dot, a 6 bam, and a green dragon does not help me in anything that I've got here. So I'm just gonna pass it on. We're gonna go into that second Charleston. I'm grabbing out 3 new tiles. What do we have? We have a 3 dot, okay? And we have a 2 bam and a 6 bam. Well, none of those really go for the hand that I was looking for. So again, gonna drop them, gonna grab 3 more. And this is the process, guys. It's really so simple, but it's so helpful, especially as we're all kind of in that beginner phase with this 2025 card. I don't know about you, but when I get a new card, I feel like I am back at square one with this game sometimes. And I will sit down with my group and I feel like I just cannot win until I sit and do maybe 15 iterations of this. And then those things start to pop out at me of, oh, that's interesting. This news hand has popped over into 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Didn't live there last year or the year before that. Or, oh, okay, these, any like numbers are very different from the ones that we've seen in the past. Or, we're very used to having news over here in 2025 or over here in any like numbers. It doesn't exist there. And looking at these Winds and Dragons hands, how different. Those are the kinds of things that you start to learn as you do this process, as you sit with this card and play a lot of hands. So if you have a group that meets multiple times a week or you're in a couple different groups, you're going to get that practice. But most of us have other things going on too. We have families, we're running around to kids' practices, we're finding it hard to get some time for ourselves. So if you're finding it hard to get true time dedicated to go and play 2-3 hours of Mahjong, this is a great way for you to sit at home and improve your game and get more confident. And it's also just, I like any excuse to get my tiles out and play with them. And, I keep mine out in a lucite box most days, and unless they're here on the table, I like to get them out and play with them. And I like this method because it is so tactile, like a game of Mahjong, and it lets you sit with the card and it enters in that kind of random chance of the Charleston. You never know what you're gonna get from your girlfriends when you're sitting around the table. And I feel like this is a good approximation of that. So go out and try that. See how you can get faster at playing this game, faster at choosing your hand. Remember, get organized, choose a section, do some passes, then choose a hand and maybe a pivot hand as well. Don't try to choose that hand the second you look at your tiles. It's going to put you too narrow in your focus as you head into the Charleston. Pick that section first. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Happy Mahjong.